with the residents of Voyager Point and Pleasure Point. We've been going around doing this throughout the rest of Liverpool. Liverpool's a big place. I think we've got around 12 of these community meetings planned, so we're going through them all. Just to start off with, I'll ask everyone just to introduce themselves for all the councillors and the council staff who are here. I'll go left to right.
Hello everybody, great to see you all here. I'm Councillor Caress Rose. Thank you. Hi everyone, welcome to Monday evening. Councillor McNaught, Deputy Mayor. Thank you for coming. Hello everybody, Caress Rose. Thank you. Hi everyone, welcome to Monday evening. Councillor McNaught, Deputy Mayor. Thank you for coming. Hello everybody, Caress Rose. Thank you. Hi everyone, welcome to Monday evening. Councillor McNaught, Deputy Mayor. Thank you for coming. Hello everybody.
We've got our council, our senior council, Councillor Peter Hall, did you go?
Yeah, talking to this thing, see how it goes.
We're talking to this thing now.
That's what people online think.
It goes. I think I can do without. Can you hear me? Yes. I'm Peter Hall, been a councillor for 15 years, representing the community. Thank you.
Thank you. We have our senior staff here. If I can just have the staff one by one, just to introduce yourselves.
Yeah, I'm Matt Morris. I'm the Parks and Habitat Space Manager. Been in council for about 16 months.
Yeah. So he makes sure all the grass gets cut and everything gets clean. So in case anybody wants to talk to him, but we're here.
Hi, my name is John Black. I'm the manager of projects delivery.
Yeah. So John pretty much builds everything for us, just about.
Hi everyone, I'm Michelle McElhinney. I'm the Director of Customer Experience and Business Performance at Council. I've been here for 6 months and I'm the local today.
Hi everyone, my name is Chris Corby. I'm the Coordinator of Community Recreation. So my team will look after community halls like this one here and sport fields and parks.
Mahavir Arya, I'm a transport engineer with council.
I'm Nancy Wayne-Norris, I'm the Executive Planner, Strategic Planning Team, and also a local.
CBT from Community Development Council, also local.
Wonderful. Yes, we have our lovely customer service team here and our executive services team here as well. So, look, the way we've been doing this, like I said, it's not formal. It's not about having us sitting there talking at you. It's literally about having a conversation. As you can see, we brought the relevant council staff here so we can help work on the issues. And this hopefully is a beginning of a series of meetings. So it's not like, oh, we do this one off. We will come back again next year, follow up, and just have these discussions about how we can make the area better. You know your area better than anyone else. And just to give you a perspective, Liverpool is a very, very big place. So the drive from Sydney Harbour to get to Liverpool from one end to the other is longer than that. So we cover a fairly big area, all the way from the George River, pretty much past Bents Basin. That's how far that we go. So we do miss things, ultimately, it's what happens. What we'd normally like to do is if we start on a topic, I'm happy to throw to the floor whatever anyone wants to talk about, and then if we just stick on that and exhaust it, then we move on to the other ones, and that we can sort of keep it structured and just have that conversation. Could I guess that one of them is maybe maintenance, parks, or no? Right? Anyone want to start?
Yeah, I just want to give Matthew's plan on the road. I rang up probably about, well, actually emailed.
It's a good start, Matthew, well done.
Sorry?
The people at home online.
Oh, the people at home. Oh, we're going to a...
Oh, sorry, this is live, it's live stream, by the way.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah,
I rang council maybe 8-10 months ago. I regularly walk around the area, and there was the approach, the northern approach, the northern approach over the railway line. There was some of those, I think they're suckers or those spiky sort of edge plants. So they were sticking out various heights, poked someone in the eye, sent council an email. Within the space of a week, they were trimmed back to the point that one of the council crews actually called me on my personal mobile phone to say, hey, just to let you know that we've followed up on the matter that you raised. So just great. It's a little 1%, but it just makes, you know, you just feel like there's some sort of validation when your concerns are raised and they're heard and their actions taken. So thanks very much.
When I sent mine through, I sent the same thing through.
Okay.
Yeah.
About those plans.
Yeah, mine was in general with all the footpaths in and around the area. There's a lot of people that walk every day, including myself, with parents, prams, dogs. It's a lovely area, but I find myself sending the requests through, but I don't get the response back, so I cut them back myself, especially down the avenue. And if you lead out to, I can't remember what the roads are, come straight off the avenue. But I walk around there every day and I have to duck under or around, and yeah, some of them were quite dangerous, so I cut some of them back myself. But the general maintenance, the upkeep for the lawns, no, I don't have an issue. It's just more just going for a walk and trying to walk around all the footpaths and just making sure they're clear. And a lot of the times, poor people on the prams have to walk around onto the road, if not onto grass, just to get around each other and dogs and so forth.
So because what, trees are overhanging?
Trees are
and
over,
shrubs and
yeah.
stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's still the really big one on the corner where the roundabout is when you first come in. That's hanging right over. I haven't cut that back, so I probably need a saw to do that. Yeah.
And when you reported it to customer service?
I went on the website and just filled out the request.
Yep.
I don't know how many days it takes to come back. I've sent a few out and I haven't had a response yet.
Did you get a number? Did it say it was received?
I probably
Thank
did.
you?
I probably did, but I haven't followed up. I ended up just grabbing my own bin and walking down there and just coming back.
How did you find that process? Was it easy?
Easy to submit. Yeah,
Yeah.
very easy to submit. I just didn't get a response. So,
Okay.
and because my daughter rides her bike down there. I walk down there every day with dogs. I just didn't want her to get poked in the eye and run into trees too. So,
And how long ago did that happen?
I cut them back
Roughly
probably
months.
once a year, but
A year?
I've been here 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. Good to know. Good to know. Because ideally, what should happen? You should get the customer service. What's it called again? The
You should get an email back from the customer request system. It's called Pathways. You acknowledge the receipt of the request, and then that request is generally forwarded on, say, to Matt's team, and then Matt's team will program the work. But you should have got the loop back to you. That's
I
okay.
did it on the app at the time and took photos and submitted it.
Thank you for submitting it. You should-
Yeah. Yeah. Because ideally, in a perfect world, you'd get the service that you got where you get the phone call. Yeah, we've done it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Letting you know and communicating it. So yeah. That's.
And I've got a question. Been here for 17 years now. I really love the entrance to the avenue off Eastgate Road and the sandstone flagging and the sanctuary, and it was a beautiful entrance. I'm having trouble finding anywhere what the finished projected image of the entry to the. I don't want a concrete jungle. It's, you know, I can't find anywhere what it's going to look like and if it's going to be beautiful like it was. Has council got any forecasted plans or a plan from any of the the roadworks that we could actually view somewhere and say, hey, that's going to be really nice?
Yeah. You're saying so that's where the Voyager Point sign is?
Used to be.
It's
So,
gone now, huh?
yeah, the entry's been doubled, and I believe there's going to be a sound barrier up against one side of it, and there's going to be traffic lights there, and we all know that, but I haven't seen. There's got to be a generated image of the finished, approved set of lights and just the landscaping surrounding it. I would like to get a copy of that.
I have an image of it, yeah.
Yes.
I've been very vocal around this whole wall.
Yeah.
And I think we can get to that topic later, but I chased out Ken Bowe, who's the project lead, a number of times to get information because I felt there was no communication leading up to the installation or the works of the wall. So I've been very vocal around that whole situation where there's no feedback from the community because I thought that was a fantastic entrance.
I know they took away the sandstone engraved block in one piece. I think one of them was broken, but I didn't know they took it away. I would hope that it's going to be returned in some sort of way, whether it's set into a concrete wall.
They said there's Aboriginal artwork going in along.
That'll be, you know, be nice. It's, I just wouldn't mind having a look at the image of it, you know,
Yeah.
or at least discuss
We
it
can-
in some
yeah.
way.
We can chase that up,
Yeah.
find out what's going on. Just if I can go back to grass cutting, I know there's been issues previously with the field, the back, yeah? Back over there. And there's been a gentleman who's cut it a few times, got a lawn mowing business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about, you know, the parks and what have you, since we've got the parks manager here, if you look around this particular park, there's a lot of heavy trees, a lot of debris down the bottom. If you walk around, you know, it's not unusual to find mistakes here and there. It does actually make it, obviously. So I'm just wondering how often with council would be considering coming and clear up the
They're doing just that like that. Around this area. They have a community centre team as well, just manage community centres. So they're usually in and around these. They need to go to every centre every 3 weeks to do scheduled work. So it's a scheduled program. So there's a concerns of it. We have been mulching a lot more this year. We haven't had a chance to catch up just due to the wet weather. So some of that mulch actually will help when we're up in some of those areas up west. It sort of makes it a bit clearer underneath the bigger trees. And this, again, is one of the most heavily treed suburbs. So, and we're still catching up. I know there's 2 outstanding tree requests here, but we're still catching up from that windstorm that, you know, I think we had about nearly 80 or 90 calls on the one day that we had to sort of try and catch up on. That were quite substantial. We had, I think it was about 7 houses that were damaged and 4 cars, about 12 fences. There's stuff that we had to sort of try and catch up on. So we're a bit behind in that space, but if they come through on customer service, we've actually, I know there's 2 that I've checked that are outstanding at the moment, but if you go through customer service, anything that's really urgent, we'll schedule it, and we usually get back to you, let you know.
Yeah.
Is there any plans though for a more dedicated project of work to really clean up this park? I mean, there's dead wood, but it's also quite overgrown. The park, the pond doesn't always appear to be in very good health. I don't know, we've noticed there's a lot less ducks, birds, that sort of thing. And we want to get the habitat.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you compare this to Wattle Grove Park, you know, like can we expect something similar?
Look, I'll actually put it up around. Obviously, we're planning to go and upgrade to this market.
No, but you mean more of like a spring clean, like a really good cleaning it up.
To make it look perhaps a little more attractive, and other people like Wattle Grove Park looks. Which is lovely.
And that's because the lake has really become a lot more denser with shrubs and stuff, hasn't it? From what it was many years ago.
I think, you know, understood we need to get the habitat there for the nesting of birds and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it's just overworrying.
Is there any not sprinkler fountain in the lake? Yeah, because we installed it last time I was mayor, if I recall correctly, was we chucked them in here. It was working.
Look, yeah, so it's not something that's sort of been on my radar. As I said, but we have a bush regen team that probably works around here as well, and they're the ones that use the aerators and that ponds that we actually get copies. So if it's not working at this, that's what the pond's not there.
Yeah.
So I'll get it on the radar.
Thank you. And when you say work well, was it did the water quality look better? Or was it a bit more?
When it turns over and aerates, it does lots of things,
Yeah.
Stops
So the objective of it. Yeah.
Coming in the summer, we need to get it done, just look at that carbon plan, it's not here, so.
Yeah. But I think with regards to the look and feel, it'd be interested to see, I guess, what the expectation is, what you see, you know, what we can actually do and maintain. So I think that's probably maybe another discussion we can have on site and have a look at it.
Mayor, I'd have a conversation with you before we started, because when it comes to the actual water spout, she wanted something akin to Lake Burley Griffin. It just went a little bit optimistic, just a little bit out of reach, so I'm trying to manage expectations before we go on.
I think the ones that we put in last time gave you probably 2 meters in height, I think probably at most. But it was like, they're like 15 grand. Yeah, Clinch's Pond one I think is still going. Yeah, still going. So yeah. that's a good point. And what's everyone's view on the field, or whatever you want to call it?
With the soccer field, who actually owns the soccer field?
We do. Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure.
Well, this is going to lead into my second question. Okay. I have an issue with dogs. I'm a dog owner, and there's a lot of people who walk dogs off the lead. And their dog, as far as I'm concerned, their dog is a friendly dog. But you don't know that dog is a friendly dog. Now, I don't expect the ranger to be around here 24/7 with dogs off the lead. But there is an issue with the soccer field where people want their dogs off the lead. And the dogs at times run out from the soccer field while you're walking down the street. Is there any way we could put a fence facing the street down there with a gate, just to stop the dogs' potential for running out of it? Because I can see because I see a lot of people walking their prams, kids. It could be an issue down the track. I just think that there is a way we could stop it. I just have a fence.
I think there has been a few incidents where there's been dogs injured and
That's fine.
So Haverville's got a
Off-leash dog area.
area dog park.
Yep.
Maybe the feasibility could be looked at. I mean, it doesn't have to remain a dog park. Kids can still play soccer and what have you. But at least if you want to let him off the leash, there's no harm to anybody that's walking past.
Well, yeah, I guess you're spot on. And if it's something the community wants, that's going to be good. You know, Chris, is there any particular planning forward for that particular park?
Not that I'm aware of. I think in the past there's been a few ideas floated around the usage of that park. No plans have been set in place by Council's Capital Works Department. Doesn't mean though that there can't be in the future, but historically there hasn't been. And I just checked, I can confirm it's council land as well.
Yeah, great.
I would vote for a determination to we have dogs off the lead. I'd love to take mine off the lead, but I don't trust them running around here, but behind a fence I'd love to let them go and not have to go all the way to come and in the car and get hairball through the car, just walking down the road, let them run around and come home. I really appreciate it.
I reckon we should activate the park as a soccer field and just leave it as a soccer field. I mean, I've sent an email last year about fixing the lights up and putting some nets in and stuff like that for the kids around here, because there's nowhere for the kids to go except the park here.
So I guess then, do you need the whole thing for a dog park? Could you do a bit of a?
I wouldn't do it. Personally, I've got a dog at home too. I love dogs, but having soccer over there, there's dog feces everywhere on the field. Unfortunately, no one picks them up on the field.
Yeah, you'd have to separate it, or you're not going to.
They're
not going to get
I'd take my dog there.
best use. Just a mini area that's fenced. You need to keep dogs off leash separate from kids playing soccer anyway. That's not going to work together.
Yeah. All right. So look. Why don't we do this then? Why don't we look at something what we can do for that? I guess maintains a space for dogs to run around, but also looks at somewhere for the kids to run around because.
Yeah, there is light poles there and everything, but they just need to probably be refurbished or something like that.
Because I think the quality wasn't very good of the surface.
Power poles are all there. The surfaces are all there. Maybe just repurpose stuff.
Yeah.
Nets for the kids to play.
Well, we can look into options, I guess, and get back to everyone on that.
Great. Not just the kids, I can play there as well.
So what do we have here? We've got the tennis court. There's a little playground here. There's a community centre. That's pretty much.
What we could do also here, like I say, really a water truck or even outdoor toilet would be nice here. Because there's a lot of people come here with kids or to play, and they've got to run home to go to the toilet. You know, so I don't know.
Toilets are interesting ones because they're good in theory, but they cause a lot of problems.
I understand it, but like I said, I come there with the missus or sometimes and grandkids, and they got to go to the toilet, get in the car, let's go home, because they got to go to the toilet. And even just a water truck, so people can have a drink of water or something.
Oh, well, yeah, there should be a bubbler. It wouldn't be too hard to get in.
There is none.
I've got an update. There is a bubble coming. We've ordered it. I think, depending on the digging, we could go around the early asbestos issues. We've ordered it. It's due What's it called? Oh, I think it's just that there's some craft for children that can come and
For what, sorry?
just do some growing plants for the children and the community get together and maybe that just they can so look after the gardens and they can plant a tree like little herbs and things. So and they've been they can come and see the growth of those little plants. So they get the community together. Basically, it's just a community program where you just get the kids involved in it. That's what it is, right? So and I was seeing other communities are doing it, and I was thinking to replicate that into Voyager Point. So that's the idea.
Community garden.
Yeah, community gardens. Yeah.
I was going to say that there is a bush care group that we had before that worked with the council. The council did supply trees previously, so that's something we could that they could do through the bush care. It's
incorporated into it, but the idea is to sort of get the young, because we've got a lot of the young kids around here, right, young families, right? So they can come in on Saturday morning and plant the little plants and look after them and see them grow. And that is to sort of encourage the people to look after our environment, because our environment needs help. And unfortunately, we don't get we don't get enough people caring for the environment. That's what the problem we've got today. So I think this is a good way for the children to learn how to look after the environment. Right? Look after the plants and see what the plants can do for them, and see the results. Because if you plant a plant today, a little plant today, in 2 weeks' time, 3 weeks' time, you get the blossoms, you get little flowers, you get the little fruits, and then they can see what it's worth, looking after.
We have got some framework. We have got some framework for setting up community gardens on council properties. So we can certainly have a look at how that might work in your community and how we could set that up. But there is framework that we've put through as a council. So we can follow up with you with that and have a look at the structure of how that could work. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, great.
I was just going to say, I don't know if the council are aware that the suburb also has a Facebook page, a community Facebook page. Yeah. Okay. So some things like that can get advertised through the Facebook page.
I think it doesn't have to be a big project. It's just a small project.
Yeah.
Get the children involved into the area to look after the environment. That's the idea.
Yeah, sure.
Education of the environment. That's what it is.
That's a great idea.
Probably like the first 10 years, right? There was council provided in parks a very, I think her name was Stacey, but I don't know if she was a ranger or anything, but Ranger Stacey, but she came, and if she couldn't come, it was once a month, last Sunday of every month, and we would take maybe the entrance, maybe the park, maybe a couple of side streets that we would clean weeds, we'd clean gutters, we'd rake, and we were given natives and the tools and supervision and water, and we had, council came with a ute load of natives for us to plant. A lot of the plants around here we put in for probably, my circumstances changed, and I got a bit busy and bought a boat, and I'm going out on Sunday not gardening, but it's, I get what the gentleman was saying, that it engaged. Both my girls have helped dig a hole, and we make the community beautiful by putting some natives and some plants in. But that's something council's been doing for many, many years. But I think participation dropped off, and if they're willing to come, there's got to be people have got to show up, and otherwise it's just pointless. It wastes council resource, especially when you're paying that person to be here on a Sunday for, I think it was 8 till 12, and they're getting paid and they're here doing nothing. We've got to support them. So if we want it, we've got to commit to it.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why we put out the framework as well, which I'll share amongst the groups so that we can set it up properly. Like you say, there has to be community ownership of it if that's what we're going to do, and just have those people, invigorating people to want to do that. So definitely something that we can share with you and see how we can set that up.
But just to be clear with you, what you were talking about then was a different voluntary type system of people who do the weeding and the different sorts of work, not particularly the community garden. Was that correct?
Yeah, that's but it's a very, turn to bed, you do that as well, but essentially it's in the garden, making it look beautiful, teaching kids, young kids, seedlings and plants, but yeah, it merge into a...
And Michael, I remember you were part of that group a few years ago, Voyager community group. There's actually quite a few of those, and one of the things that happened is when COVID came along, most of those things were stopped, because of limitations. And we had volunteer groups. We used to have volunteer groups that won annual prizes. Clinch's Pond Group, for instance, and there were at least 3 or 4 of these. And maybe we need to look at getting those back up again. We need to generate the community interest. So
I think I remember winning one of those awards at Hunts up at the crossroads there. Yeah.
Let's discuss that. Do you want to send an email maybe?
I think someone from one of the other environment groups raised the fact that this year's environment awards haven't happened, or like they usually would the end of year awards to kind of recognise people who've done those sorts of things, because it's always nice to be recognised when you're a volunteer, when you're contributing to the beauty of our local community. I'm not sure why they haven't happened this year.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think they did have difficulty getting people to turn up for various reasons, but we should start that again. So noted.
Thanks, Matt.
Stop. Look in this lady's telling me that it's on last Sunday.
There are environment groups.
There are what, sorry?
There are environment groups that council ask for volunteers, and there's one at Voyager Point. But whether they run regularly or not.
Where are they running? I don't know.
Yeah, we might have a look at them and...
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's the Clinch's Pond one, there's a weaving garden in Casula, Harris Creek Reserve at Holsworthy, Amalfi Park, Lania,
But it might be an expression of interest.
Tucker Road at Casula, Stream Watch at Georges River and River Park Drive, Light Horse Park, Liverpool and Voyager Point. Last Sunday of the month between 9 and 11 a.m. So, yeah.
Perhaps what we should do is look at it, see if they are running, and send out information on social media so that you can look into it if you...
That's run by the Bushland.
Through the environmental levy, right?
Yeah, so yeah, the environmental levy, correct. So I'll get that updated. Yeah. But I just want to add, we have the family fun day. So the last one we did at Lieutenant Cantello, we gave away about, I think, 250 seedlings and seedlings. So as these ones come around, we're actually going to donate. We're trying to get a lot of natives. So we've got quite some. Council's got a policy to increase our urban canopy growth, so we're actually giving shrubs and bush and trees away by the handful if we can to sort of help us with that. We are doing we've got a lot of planning to do and a lot of suburbs that need it, but as these events come around, we're actually going to be on site and we'll be giving away plants as well. But nothing to stop us if you want something here. We can actually even just because we do have teams and staff working weekends anyway. So if there's any appetite for it at all, please let us know, and we'll actually, it's not much for us to sort of like,
maybe if it's possible, we can communicate that to the groups, and the groups that are on Facebook, because you've got a lot of interaction on Facebook. People always looking, seeing what's happening in the area, what's going on, and if we tend to advertise or let people know what's happening on those pages, we tend to get a lot of traction where if it's on the council website, people really look on that website.
And as I said, our community centre team is here every 3 weeks doing at least works of some sort, so there's nothing, if there's an appetite, they can come inside, they bring plants, they do stuff.
But you still have mobile libraries that come around different places, or what's going on there?
I thought we did when we started
We
operating.
did start with mobile libraries. I don't think they're operating at the moment, and if there's an appetite for it, we can investigate that and get back to you.
What about the street garden? shoot's not open anymore?
No, it's not there anymore because it used to be inside rather than outside, and because the door's shut, you can't actually drop books back up for hours. But that's beside the point. I mean, we live at obviously the edge of Liverpool City Council area. For some of these services become a little bit neglected, I think.
You have to remember as well, we have a limited, if you're older and you don't drive a car, we have limited public transport. So you can't get to Moorebank Library, you'd have to go down the line up to Liverpool. So that's a restriction as well, when you're getting to an age where you won't be driving a car and there's nowhere to get on bus.
We'll look into the shoot, and we moved customer service. There's a customer service desk now at Moorebank Library. If I go to a bigger plan that we're working on at the moment, is about building. We want to move to the community hub model. So rather than have our buildings scattered around, we want to build hubs effectively. So the best example is Carnes Hill. I don't know if anyone's been to the Carnes Hill Centre there. So Carnes Hill, it's got a library built in 2016. We have a sporting centre there, and now we're going to be building a swimming pool there as well, around parks and cafe and all that. Now we're doing the pool there. We know we have the pool here in Holsworthy, which is pretty old. So we're now looking at building the new pool. We did a consultation about building a new pool, and whether we bring the library into that precinct as well, the community centre. So this will be done at Moorebank Sports Club. Hopefully people have seen the consultation we've been doing. So effectively build a big new hub right there for, I guess, the east side of Liverpool. When I say east side, you can say from the Georges River, Liverpool this way. So that's actively being pursued as we speak. We're hopefully, Moorebank Sports Club wants to expand. They've been trying to expand for 10 years, and negotiations are finally getting to the end, and any money that we get from them will go into that precinct as well. So that's 3 to 5 years, I'll probably say at this point in time. In the meanwhile, we can look at what we can do from that.
And we'll take your point on notice that you want to be able to drop. Okay, and build that into the design.
Sorry, just a point on notice. We're moving on from parks and gardens. Sorry, because the gentleman just wanted to...
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're right, mate, just wanted to confirm.
Yeah, is there anything else on parks? Everyone's trees, everyone happy?
I just want to associate with parks and gardens, we're talking about community facilities. You did a really good job putting a bit of a, what do you call it, a gym, fitness circle there. The only problem is that obviously, we live in a climate where it gets pretty hot, a lot of sun. Wouldn't we better off maybe put them all in a little area, put in one of those canopy things so that people can actually use them when it's during the day and when it's hard to do so otherwise. Especially for the elders, if that's the idea, to keep a bit fit and go.
That's a design issue. Yeah. Ultimately,
Shade of the fitness gym. Well, the way that it's been set out, it's like
it's like a circuit.
It's a circuit. And maybe if you put them all together in a corner and then you'll be able to see that.
Yeah, that's a trade-off. I'm saying sort of, if you try to promote movement, put it in a circuit, if you put them all together, people just sort of hang around there, do the thing, and just go home again. So it's sort of one of those balance things.
Well, you still run around in a circle.
That's true. That's true.
I just think it to be, only a couple of people use them. A lot of the times in the daytime, simply because of that.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, in regards to trees, so I was speaking to my neighbours and myself that live alongside the road, like the avenue, so the main street that goes down here. So we share a fence with the council. The trees, they get trimmed every year, sometimes twice a year. We see the guys come, but they never trim the tree from that overhangs from our side of the fence. And those branches constantly fall over. Like just this weekend that passed on Saturday, a branch fell onto my bike. So
onto your bike?
On my quad bike. I have my quad bike parked in the back. So like, there's a few dead trees as well, which they don't seem to get cut down. Can something be done about that?
So I just want to give you some details. I'll give you address the details. I'll send it to our if we don't know,
because we asked the guys who are cutting. We say, can you trim it on our side as well?
Yeah.
And they're like, nah, we don't.
There's some assessment to
safety issue? Like if I was just walking in the backyard, like.
Yeah, so look, if there's dead wood, we take dead wood away straight away, because we know that's definitely going to fall. But I'd rather get those guys come and have a look through.
Because there's a dead whole tree that's been there for a few years.
Okay, have you recorded it or not? So we've got probably somewhere between 2 or 3 million trees in Liverpool, so we can't actually.
I know, but like we would even tell the guys who are cutting the tree, we're like, hey, can you cut this one?
Yeah, so those guys are getting work orders and they follow work orders, some contractors, some of our guys, so and we need to actually have an assessment of a tree. Every tree we cut and chop, we assess, and that's a big job. We can't believe the amount of money we spend on assessing and looking after trees.
But they should be able to report their own tree, shouldn't they? If they're, like there's a tree that got knocked down by a car and it's over the park. They were sitting there having a lunch next to it and didn't do anything with it. I ended up just dragging it in front of them and pull it off the footpath. But it's common sense.
Common sense ain't so common sometimes, but at the end of the day, we can report it. If you report it, put it to customer service, they will definitely get it.
Yeah. Ideally, we're trying to change the culture that if you let it cut the grass and you see a pothole, or you can report it, or you do something about it. So we need our staff to look at everything, not just have their blinkers on. So that's a cultural change in the organisation. Once again, it sounds easy, but ultimately it's like, I've got 10 things to do today, I'll tick them off, and that's what they do. And that's what we want to change. We've been trying to do that for a long time. Because it's, prevention is better than a cure. It's much better. It's much more efficient if they can do it while they're right there.
Yeah, so like, kind of worry. So you said that you're going to send someone over.
Yeah, you just said, just get, I think you give us the
Yeah.
details.
Yeah.
We'll go and see our own and we'll get it.
That's good,
We
because it's
actually have
also,
something already.
oh, sorry, Matt. It's helpful too when you can coordinate to be there together to discuss, and you can have that conversation with the person directly. So,
It's not just me, it's like my neighbour at the front. He came over and told me, make sure we sort out the trees. And my neighbour from behind as well.
yeah, awesome. So even all together would be good if you could all chat about it at the same time. That'll be good.
I'll come as well if you're really worried about it. It's been that long, like travel around. There's lots of different things, so I'm happy to come as well.
Yeah.
I'll come with time. No worries.
Yeah, and if anyone has any specific issues, we've got customer service here, we've got the form, so they can just tell them straight away, and they'll put it into the system so it goes through it properly.
Just first step, just on the trees, I mean, we obviously have a lot of grey gums here that have been planted on footpaths. And they can be, I mean, in the bush they call them widow makers because they are very, very dangerous in terms of they're a big structure, they become a very big tree, and they'll just drop a whole branch without any indication or warning that it's happening, because they tend to rot from the inside out, and you have no external vision or indication that this tree is going to come down, or a branch in some cases can be as big as a normal tree. Now we have a lot that are actually on our footpaths. I mean, we have a lot that are big branches hanging over fences, as the gentleman said. I know we can't look at every single tree in the estate, but is there anything we can do to look at least one's planted on footpaths or growing on footpaths that are an intimate risk to people, to make sure that these trees are healthy? And the reason I say that, we had one just here in Baronia a couple of years ago, which we raised concerns with council, and they came out and said, no, it's a healthy tree, it's all good. I don't know if anyone remembers the one, it was just here, just opposite my place. And within 2 weeks, it came down, it came straight across the road, it almost took out my fence, and it would have absolutely smashed anyone that was on it. It was a huge tree. So the question is, and I know it's a difficult one, but what sort of assessment is being done by council in these high risk footpath trees to make sure that people are safe? Because we've had a few near misses where trees are coming out, and more importantly, it is the grey gums. I mean, the ironbarks are a much sturdier tree, they're much lot more resilient, but these grey gums are a very, very dangerous tree.
Should we, considering the amount of trees that are in here, and because this is probably one of the more unique suburbs with the amount of trees.
Wattle Grove gets a lot of attention as well. It's very similar. We've had, as I spoke, a lot of those trees came down. We need to probably, if it's.
Is it worth getting? Do we try to get some money, get an arborist to do?
Well, we'll just get. Actually, it's easy. We can get our guys, get contractors as well.
Yeah, I mean, are they pretty busy?
Yeah, our guys are very busy. Right. So look, unfortunately, when the plans go out for these trees, we have a designated responsibility to keep Cumberland Plains trees in the area because that's what's here. And a lot of those trees we don't take out when the roads come on. That's why they get left. And yeah, you're right. We get them all the way across, right across the LGA. again, if somebody's even concerned about a tree at any stage, even if you think it looks like it's really out of shape or something like that, we'll come and do a report, and we come back with a report, and some of those assessments come back as a 1 in a million chance, okay? So you might have heard on the radio the last storm that someone said they'd been able to remove a tree from their backyard, and you're right, exactly half a tree fell. But that wasn't the ones they wanted to remove. They wanted us to remove these spotted gums right up against the house, so very close. We have a tolerance over the house as long as it's more than 2 metres. Now, in that situation, have we taken those other trees out? That guy would have lost his whole house. So, again, you can't predict what it is. Again, when we looked at it, yes, we could see it was damaged internally, and that's why the windstorm was pretty bad when we had just that last 3 or 4 weeks ago. I think we had more complaints in that period than I think we've ever had in a 24-hour period. So it was quite the fact that, I don't know how much came, I don't know if it was from here, but right across the city, right across the LGA, we had quite a number. So again, we live in an area where we've got 2 or 3 million trees, and we've got to, actually, we don't have enough canopy cover. We actually have to get more just to sort of stop the overhead. And with the development of houses coming in, more electricity, I can go on about it, but it's probably, I'll take up half the forum. But to me, I need to look at the tree first, look at the impact of urban canopy, what else it does. It kills the temperature, provides growth, life, there's a lot of things about it. I know, but that's why I have to look at each one individually. It's a
individual environment issue. They are, and I mean, obviously you're nodding, but I was saying they're a high risk tree.
Yeah, I know.
And they are. And we've got situations where they are overhanging backyards, and they're big trees and big branches. If they come down, there's kids in the backyard, they're killed,
So I said, we'll do the assessment and our best, I suppose best calculated risk assessment done, we can say when the tree can come about. We take them out on that, they have to come out.
I mean, we had some guys out just recently that they were up the trees doing trimming, and I said, look, there's a branch here, can we do something with it? Could do something with that tree? It was, well, we can only do a certain percentage of the tree, and I know you've got obviously criteria and so forth. They took a few little branches, back down the tree, and then walked away. It's really nothing.
Sometimes you take the big branches out, you destroy the integrity of the tree as well. Sometimes it's a really technical thing. I'm sorry, it's not as simple as that.
Thank you for your response.
I just wanted to add something in relation to trees that you're going to point. It's pretty obvious that trees that were planted by the developer are in the wrong spot because they're almost on the road with big root systems. Now, council have obviously done the right thing earlier there and replaced some of the concrete footpaths where the roots are above the ground. Surely, in those circumstances, surely council should be looking at these trees. I think we'll in there work out whether maybe we should chop down the tree. I'll give you an example because where I live in Dolores Avenue, we had a big tree, one of those right next to it. It took us nearly 4 or 5 years before council came around to actually chop down the tree. It was built with, obviously, with lamps or whatever. But not only that, council actually resurfaced as well because obviously it created problems for the actual drive itself over a number of years. So I think, if we sort of looked at it and just put a band-aid, in the long term it's going to cost you a lot more money and obviously all these other problems are going to come up as well.
So can I just say, look, we were in a lot of the early stages of development design. They didn't actually come to ask for experience, like asking our opinion. So right now, we're actually getting involved in design stages out at the airport where they're asking us what trees do you want to put in, how wide do you want to put bike path do you want. So there's enough room, but obviously you see some of the suburbs now, the streets are very narrow. We never get an opportunity, then they'll put an eye-bar, put a brake on there because that's come to the plane, they'll just pick what they want. So that now we're actually getting involved in the design stage, and that's because 2 of our units have come together. We used to have infrastructure and design, and then we used to have operations. They've actually both come together. So actually, teams are sitting side by side so we can actually plan stuff a bit better. It doesn't help us here, I'm sorry. We also, like Royal Grove, they planted Chinese elms. Nothing about Chinese elms, they are just a nightmare. We had to replace a whole street, like $30,000 or $40,000 just to take the trees out, and we had to put concrete down. So it is a challenge, and we're trying not to look at the revision mirror, but where we find a problem, we will do our best to fix it. When we talk about safety, infrastructure damage, we will do that. We're not going to shy away from it, but it's just, again, it becomes a priority, which is the priority. So it's never an easy answer.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, I've got a couple of quick questions just to finish up all around the environment. Is there plans to continue the bike path around that we have coach drive through past the Oval and down, I think it's a Sirius Road, all the way through. There's a lot of people that walk down there, and there's a lot of trees that, like you were just discussing, that right on the road that more than likely are going to start breaking the curb and the footpath. Have we got any plans in place to continue that through?
I'll talk about, is anyone here from Pleasure Point, by the way?
Yeah.
No? Oh, good, yeah. Okay, lovely. So we resolved at the first council meeting after the election, so a year and a bit ago now, to do a continuous bike path from Pleasure Point all the way to Chipping Lakes and around, connecting the whole area up. At the moment we've now broken that up, there's a project group that's working on that in the stages. So the first stage is the Pleasure Point section along the reserve there, so there will be a bike path there. I think that's going to be...
What are you going to do when you hit the fence?
Mr. Hodge. Yeah.
Is fence right into the water?
Yep.
Apparently council lost the fight against that.
Yeah. So Mr. Hodge passed away.
Yep.
And Mrs. Hodge lives there and wants to finish her life there, which she's entitled to do. And then when that eventually happens, that's when we would have access to the foreshore. For us to try to do a compulsory acquisition or trigger anything, I don't think we can afford to buy that place, or we can, or the other three houses.
Well, when he wants to apply to subdivide his section there, which amazingly cleared itself of trees.
Yes.
Right at the fence line.
A lot of termites apparently.
Yeah. We all know we don't, but anyhow, regardless. I think one of the negotiation points that if they want to develop that, will then open the front, give us that land.
So that council told him that from when was it, 2018, and he said, yeah, thank you, but I don't need the money. So we're now 5 years later. So we've had conversations in recent times. The way that the land is structured, there's two blocks of land. There's what's on the water, and then there's the rest of it up to Heathcote Road.
Yeah.
So they are considering putting an application, a two-stage process of I do the Heathcote Road, the bigger stuff first, not interrupt the houses, and then go to the houses later on. Now, in doing so, if that was approved, we would then have a path through at least. Whilst not along the water, it's at least connectivity onwards.
So the extension of Willow Way, straight across into the top end of his block.
So the road would connect as well.
That would be great to have a path, come up the hill.
Yeah. So it wouldn't be a riverfront in it, because I think for us it's either we be purists and say we only do a riverfront walk, or we say let's just get a continuous walkway as much as we can along the way. So anyway, that's something that would potentially be coming up in the near term future, because when we looked at, if you look at it, right, if I can just run everyone through I'll get to you in a moment, man. If you look at what the walkway is, not having one in Pleasure Point is pretty poor in reality, to think that here you got this riverfront and there's nothing there. If we then, you get through the Hodge land, and then it brings you up into Voyager Point, which obviously gives you into the East Hill Station and all that. Then we have the land which pretty much has the paths in it, the crushed gravel paths that need to be cleaned up. Yep. Then we do a bridge, which would pretty much connect you into Cantello, which there used to be paths in Cantello back in the days, and they need to be re-established. And then Cantello takes you to New Brighton Golf Course. New Brighton, as part of their subdivision, have to do a bike path along the riverfront. Yep. So that's counted and that's paid for. Then you get to the concrete crushers plan, which is Fiona's favourite subject. We'll get to the concrete crushing plant. We've worked on trying to get that changed from heavy industrial to residential. They said now there's too much flooding issues, blah, blah, blah. So now we're looking at whether we can change it to light industrial, which is not ideal, but at least factories versus a concrete crushing facility. Now, in the meanwhile, we would also get the walkway along there, but we have a reserve there called we have a reserve there that we could potentially get a path through, which would then connect you to the marina. The marina, that's coming to council at the, I think in December council meeting, to go to the Department of Planning and all that sort of stuff. But there is an initial walkway along there that will be ready by June. So we connect into that.
on the side,
The,
it's already
on, the,
developed,
on, the,
yeah.
on the outside.
Yeah,
Then it gets you to flower power, the old flower power, which isn't, we could probably work something out there. And then once you're there, you're in Chipping Norton. We own all the land connecting up to Chipping Norton Lake. So it's actually, when you break it up, it's not that hard to get there. You know what I mean? So yeah, we'll progress on.
Where would that in
The, John, have you got that far yet?
You get to the end of the
at the journey?
yeah, that's a logical ending point for the timing.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll try to go, I imagine, from end to end effectively, but we'll do a consultation on it. I think it's coming back to for a quarterly budget review.
This next quarter.
Yeah, when?
Wednesday. Quarter budget review number 1 lands this Wednesday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Just while we're on the reserve at Pleasure Point, I don't know what could be done about it, but there are cars coming there now and drive down along the reserve, and motorbikes as well.
Cars?
Cars and
Yeah.
motorbikes.
Oh wow, okay.
They come in right at the end.
Okay.
And
Is
there's
that-
kids, big kids obviously fishing there and playing there, so it's quite dangerous.
Motorbikes cut across the bush going to Hannibal.
Yeah.
To the little creek there. So that's very noisy. Bikes, lots of bikes come across. It's very dangerous for them and dangerous for the kids who walk around that road. It's a cul-de-sac. Kids are very freely walking around, but these motorbikes come across, cut across our fence and go into the bush area. Over the creek.
We can put some boulders up and stuff. If
If
you guys can have a chat with Matt afterwards and give him exactly, because we block that up. But yes, I'll get to you in a second, sir.
Can I just have one more question? How often do we get the rubbish collected in and around the area? Twice a year?
Which one, like the household pickups?
No, just in general litter across the suburb.
Like litter crews?
Yeah, just there's a lot of litter, and I've picked up a number of times. My girlfriend jokes and calls me the mayor of Pleasure Point, or Voyager Point, because I'm out there all the time with a bag picking up rubbish. It's mainly the avenue, and it's just due to the school kids when they get off, they throw their rubbish.
On the roadway?
When you drive out now, you see all the rubbish. If you have a good look, especially when you get over the bridge on the way out on the left-hand side, it is just full of tyres, old kids' toys. There's rubbish everywhere. McDonald's. It's really
arrange a more regular, because we do every Saturday, Sunday, got little pickup crews working across the LGA at different locations, but we don't always hit the same area, but we can actually, you're probably not on the list, so it's okay. Yeah, that's
people throwing stuff out the window on just that main road. The rest of them aren't too bad.
Often we can tie it into the roadway so we can come through as well. If they kick it out on the road, we can sort of go from there as well. So.
Yeah, sorry, sir.
I'm not sure if anyone's raised this already, so I apologise for being late. But I wanted to just make it aware that along Rainier Drive that's parallel to Georges River, over the past 20 years we've lived here, the gum trees that are closest to the footpath have probably grown in height, at least a third as a very conservative estimate. A couple of years ago we had a lot of rain. There was weeks of rain. The land that those tree roots are anchored in has been eroded. So basically, if you go down there, you can see how the dirt is just going like almost like a 45-degree angle. So the gum trees, as tall as they are now, I believe don't have enough anchorage. And what's going to happen sooner or later, because they're so close to the houses along that strip of Barania Drive, we recently had some very strong winds. It was about 4 a.m. one morning, about a few weeks back. And those trees were literally bending in that wind. And I'm just very concerned that because of that erosion, those trees aren't anchored properly.
Yeah.
So chances are they're going to either come over onto the houses across the road because of the height of them. I think the council guys, one of my former neighbours, he gave up, but he was going backwards and forwards to council to raise this issue probably 6 years ago, since he's moved. He just gave up in the end. And what council was saying is that they took some aerial maps of the trees and they were saying there's no more trees there than there were before. But clearly the height of the trees is much higher than what they were. There's hardly any anchorage there. So if we get some more rain again, the soil's soft, and we get those strong winds, I reckon that's what's going to happen.
Could you give the details to customer service, the exact location of those trees?
Yes, sure.
Yeah, how many of them do you think there are that are affected like that?
Oh, there'd be a few, like basically along the footpath, and a lot of them have termites in them as well. There's even termite mounds there, and there's a lot of dead trees there. Also, so we've got like a bushfire waiting to happen in terms of fuel, like undergrowth that hasn't been cleared for years.
Yeah, now if you give us the exact details, but I think as part of overall, I think from the feedback, we need to do a proper audit on the trees and to see what we can do in policy. We'll get that next time.
Number of things here. We'll get, if there's, normally when RF is concerned about dead trees, we'll get the RFS coming to an audit as well, and they give us their documentation and all, which I'll just make a decision. So I can get them involved.
Yes.
Yeah. Can I just, it's about trees as well, but it's slightly off topic. That you mentioned that you work with the developers and whatever to plant trees and whatnot. Who's working with the roadworks here? Is this council or transport? So who's going to restore the natural aesthetics that we had at the entrance of Voyager Point? Like the sandstone and all the trees, the foliage. Is that going to be returned?
We'll get the exact plans from them. We talked about it before. We're going to get the exact plans from them to see what it'll look like, and we'll get back to everybody on it.
And like the sandstone wall, same
with the sign and all that,
everything, and that concrete, that hideous concrete retaining wall, that's going to be covered up, right?
Yeah. Is it Aboriginal line?
I hope so. It's so, it's so ugly.
On that point, how much influence does council have in regards to the finishing landscape of that area? Do they still have influence now, considering that the project has gone ahead now, or?
So look, so they ultimately maintain Hiko Road. It's not our road, so it's being a state road. So they usually have their own guidelines and everything. We do have communication with them, but no major influence. Only when we really take over the road is when they really talk to us a lot. So, but we can reach out to them and see what they're doing and ensuring, because it's crossed over. Because I wonder, that Voyager Point sign, was that on our land or was it on state land? Probably on state land. Was it on council land? Yeah. Yeah. But I think it's us really, a lot of these things about just having a relationship and being able to communicate with them. You know, even if we don't have any jurisdiction as such, we can at least talk to them, you know, and have that conversation.
Will their drawings, are their drawings public? Because
Yeah.
the landscaping package should be ready.
Yeah, this gentleman got it here. The mayor of Voyager Point got it, my colleague here.
I've been very vocal about the whole project, and I've got all the drawings, the renders, the plans, and the contacts if you want to get in touch with him and get it sent to you.
Or if you want to see, if you want to post them online in the group, that might be quicker. If you could, that would be great. Yeah.
Just the landscape and architecture
All of it.
drawing.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, sir.
Yes. So I have another question about the trees. I don't mean to bang on too much, but because I appreciate the tree, that's why we live here. But on the western section down there, along Creekwood Drive, Buxifolia, Creekwood Drive, Puntada Court, along that area there, we've got a reserve, and there's a low log fence along there, but the trees have grown up between the fence and the road. I'll let you work out where it is. Yeah, so between the trees and the road. So currently there's young trees growing up there, wattles and oaks and everything, but they're not trimmed back from the curb back to the fence. So I thought it might make sense.
Well, they're small.
Well, yeah, they're small, that's right. I was wondering if that could be considered.
So that, I think I know the area is part of the bushland regeneration team, so we actually, again, we can manage about 5% of bushland regen, so that's why if we get, with the amount of sort of funding and the team we've got, when you see stuff like that and you bring it to our attention, we can come on and have a look at it. As you said, it's good when it's small. is it overhanging footpath or just overhanging the road on that side? That's
There's no footpath, it's overhanging the road.
Just there's more maintenance. That's what we need.
Yeah, okay.
And that's not any love for a while, mate.
Okay, that's fine, as I said, it's probably.
Shut them off.
Yeah. So look, in all honesty, I will, it's got a number of things here, and we'll have a bit of a blitz in the area, like we can do it. Largely these cable boards, it's just a matter of prioritising, and it sounds like this is my third forum now, and obviously this is the first one that I've actually been, just inundated with tree requests, and that's absolutely fine, because look where you live. I don't blame you. You want it to look good, and you want us to do the best we can. So we have discretion. I have discretion to sort of move teams around where the pain points are, and that's the only way we can get 326 square kilometres covered. I think I've got about half a person per square kilometre, if you want to do the maths on how many people we've got to clean up the place. But it doesn't mean I can't send a group of 10 here for a period of time and we just, blitz the area. Someone spoke about Wattle Grove before. We actually had to do a lot of work there because it had not a lot of love for a long time as well. So we've got it back to quite a residents, we get a lot of compliments there. The first thing was a compliment, so I was pretty happy about that, but that's okay. But I'll put it on my radar, and I'll just get the pain points. I'll talk about the grey gum if you want to give me the addresses, and we'll actually just come as a team, and we'll set up a schedule of works, and somewhere along the line I'll give some feedback to people so to let you know where we're up. And you can hold me to account. It's fine. I'll come back to this next one in March, April, and I'll see how I went. Okay, and then you can sort of hopefully we'll be talking about infrastructure, not me.
Yes. Thank you. All right.
Can I just ask about the lighting on this side of the bridge?
Yep, that's what we do. So I think that covers it for trees and maintenance. Everyone happy with that? All right. All right. In Green Valley, we spent the first hour on cats, on stray cats. So you never know what's coming at you. Yeah.
Just the lighting on this side of the bridge. In the winter, when you come off that bridge, right at the end, it's quite dangerous because it's not enough lighting. And it's just at that last bit when you come up to the run.
Yep.
And people obviously can come to work. It's quite dark and you're a female on your own. It's not very safe.
Yeah.
Just wondering about the lighting.
Yep. If you could show us on the map at the end, and maybe circle that spot. Whenever last time we made sure we put some lights in the holes with these stations, similar things.
I mean, it's obviously when people in the daytime, you know there wasn't enough lighting. So when you actually
Yeah.
Just on that, I don't know, John, maybe you might have more information, but I thought there was some lighting that was to be done as part of the upgrade of the pedestrian bridge.
I think the upgrade was last week, but not on the outside, the actual structure of the bridge itself.
Yeah, because I remember when there was a community consultation group that was put in place around the upgrade of the bridge, lighting was one of the things that came up. That consultation group brought up.
They did redo all the lighting on the bridge, actually as you come off.
Yeah.
That's
The approaches, that was part of it as well.
And when that light falls out, then it gets pretty dark and obviously it takes a little while before it gets
Yeah. But I remember approaches was part of what they raised as well, so I'm not sure. Yeah.
Not just that, I think it's so dark that you could walk on a snake.
Yeah. Now we'll look at that. Yeah. And just so everyone knows, I know it's not exciting, but again, we're currently in court with Bankstown Council about the bridge. So, yeah. So we're heading that way.
Can you give us an update on the proposed residential commercial development? It's outside of there at Hollywood roundabout, please.
Yep.
So many buildings going on over there.
So history, I think 2008, there was a DA that was approved. They excavated it. That's why it looks the way it is. That DA is still active. They subsequently lodged a planning proposal to increase some height and density on site. I think with the land at 300 units, I think, on site there. I don't know the exact number, but I think that was... There we go. You came for a reason. There you go. Nancy runs our strategic planning team, so all the rezoning stuff. Yep. So was it around that 300 up mark? Yep. 310, yep. And it's gone. Has it officially been gazetted yet? Or?
It's been gazetted, and so they just need to have their DA.
Yeah. Yeah. So now the zoning is in place for the extra height and density. It's about them lodging an application.
So what's the height going to be?
30, 40.
Yeah, it is. It scales down over the side, and I think the maximum is around 40 metres, which is about 10 stories.
Is that acceptable to the army base? Because if you don't work in the army base.
Apparently it is.
Yes,
I thought there was no way they would support it, but
we did a lot of engagement with the Commonwealth, and so they helped us do some really good design controls to make sure that we end up with our overlooking. It's quite strict for design controls, so there's no communal rooftops that can overlook, no direct windows, they all have to be offset in certain directions, and it does step down quite nicely across the side.
Are there shops? Oh, that's
Yeah, there's shops, so it's commercial, it's a mixed use development.
yeah. So the best example, if you've been to Edmondson Park, it's square. It's something like that.
What's the time frame?
Huh?
Is there sufficient parking?
Yeah, that will be assessed as part of their DA. So they changed the zoning controls. Now they'll lodge an application against that. So, and that's when they'll have a final number of how many parking spots they're proposing to do it.
And
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's what that will, when they lodge an application, if they do, I'm sure they're going to eventually, but yeah, when they do it is another question.
in the development control plan, we have controls for apartments and for commercial uses. They have to meet certain requirements for car parking, and it will be basement parking on that site. In terms of timeframes, just to get back to your question, it's up to the developer. So once they need to lodge the plans, council will review and approve the plans, and then it's up to them to build. So they have when the DA is issued, they have 5 years to commence it, and so it's really, we can't say it will be developed at this time because it's up to them.
So if they were to lodge an application, let's say 3, 4, 5 months time, something like that needs at least a year to assess, you would think. If you're lucky. And then it's a good couple of years to build it. So realistically, you're not buying anything from there for 4 to 5 years. You're still going to Waterloo for your milk, I'd say. So.
Mayor, sorry to double down on the car parking. I did attend a council meeting, I think it was back in April, May, and one of the agenda items was the TA on MacArthur Drive. And during the course of discussion amongst council, there was mention raised about the traffic report that was submitted to council as part of the DA. And my understanding that a couple of the council...
when was this? The meeting?
Probably about April, May. I can't remember.
This year?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, so, okay.
But
it will be about the rezoning. The planning proposal.
Yes. So there was mention made about the traffic plan that was submitted by the proponent of the development and concerns raised by one or more councillors that the traffic plan that was submitted as part of the development wasn't a current one. What sort of influence do you have, or is council's remit sort of concluded there, and does it go across to the RS? Because my concern is that we'll get one chance at getting the traffic flow, and I mean we all know why Heathcote Road's been widened. Any prospect of development on 1 MacArthur Drive is just going to exacerbate an existing bottleneck. So I'd rather that council be proactive, or the state government be proactive in dealing with traffic matters, as opposed to some piecemeal rearguard sort of action where we could have or should have or would have done it better. Here's our chance, looking through the glass lens, if that sort of follows.
Yeah, indeed. So there's a few elements to that. Our role as councillors is about the zoning of the city, of the community. What do you want to have? Like here, for example, the minimum lot size, I think, is like 450 square meters, and that gives you a character, you can see. Other areas, Moorebank, Chippy Norton, for example, the majority of Liverpool is 300 square meters. That's why you see people knocking down and doing duplexes.
Yes.
So we're now doing a whole review of the LEP. It's supposed to be done generally every 5 years. That doesn't really happen. The last time it was done was in 2008. So we're doing that at the moment, and we're trying to say, well, what areas do you want to preserve, and what areas do we want to encourage density? On top of that, you've got the housing targets that are set by the Department of Planning, state government, saying, you've got to put housing in here. Liverpool always meets, we do our bit. The rest of Sydney kind of does it. We don't vote anymore on development applications, so we don't actually have a say on it as council. We still assess them, unless it's a state significant application, which would be something quite large. I don't think this would trigger that.
No, it wouldn't, but because it's next to a classified road, legally we have to refer it to transport, and so we get transport's input on the development application once it's lodged.
So it will be assessed by the Sydney West Planning Panel, which is made up of 3 state government appointees and 2 council appointees. I'm one of those appointees. Councillor Rhodes is, Councillor Harl is. So between us, we sit on that panel. So we can't make any specific comment on it as such, because nothing, there's an application in there, just so we're not ruled out of the process. Actually, no, I think we actually have a conflict because we voted on the planning proposal, didn't we? That's another. We did the zoning. Anyway, that's another story, just technicalities. So in that process, Mahavir and his traffic team will look at the traffic counts and will provide an assessment to the panel saying whether it's recommended or not recommended for approval. And then, yeah, it's about the right criteria. Put that over what the state government policy is. If you're near a train station, ideally you minimize the amount of car trips you do. So I think a general rule of thumb is every house has, was it one car trip, 10 car trips per house, is it? I think the general number?
Well, it is around in a unit about 3 to 4 trips a day. But if it's an independent house, it's about 6 to 7 trips a day.
Yeah. So that's the criteria. You think, well, if you're living there, you don't want to live there and be using the train station every day. That's what the ideal. You go downstairs to buy your milk. Versus here, if you want to buy milk, everywhere you go, you have to go and use it. There is something that the state government, maybe Karishma can fill us in on it, but where they're proposing that if you can get a 30% bonus on height and density if you're going to put affordable housing. So, and you normally have a lower parking limit. So if they were to enact and use that clause, that could go from 300 to 400 units on that site, potentially with less parking. But I don't know if Krishna can fill us.
That affordable housing sort of parking loan has been around for a number of years, because I know there's been a few other developments that have basically had the amount of parking that they need to provide reduced because they have put in place affordable housing. So it's not a new thing.
No, but the 30% bonus is a new thing now.
That I need to double check as to how that's kind of going out, but yeah. And rightly so, the government is saying, well, councils need to go and provide housing. We've seen the challenges that young people have getting into the housing market. That's real and current. It gets down to a supply issue, but there's a lot of focus on it. Look at the Telegraph today, where the Premier is saying, if you don't get your act together, we'll override councils. So
for those of us that have got a keen interest in development on One Carpet Drive, what's the best way to keep appraised? Is there a council website, Department of Planning, or
what will happen is once it gets lodged, the best place is if just generally speaking, if you go to the e-planning website the council set up a few years back, the e-planning website can give you updates, and you can send them out to you if anyone is interested in what's going on in the area. But I'm pretty sure something like that will get advertised pretty quickly on the Facebook page, which is really good these days. Having those groups are really good. I know it doesn't get everybody, but it does. We don't have local papers anymore, so yeah.
Thank you.
I know
since we're talking about developments, especially turning to the avenue on the left-hand side, some years back there was a proposal that they were going to have a couple of shops and maybe a petrol station. That died, of course, because we haven't heard anything for years. Is there any current anything being lost for that side at all?
28 houses.
The 28 houses, yeah.
Houses?
Yeah, only house.
28 lots.
Next to the railway?
Not my choice, but backing onto the railway and fronting on Heathcote Road, that's gone through.
Yeah, that was a few years back now, I think.
I think it was 31. 31? So I think 131 lots.
We've reached the we've reached the limit of residential development, what would you like, or is it still that, more that?
When you look, I think there's nothing left here, but there's the Hodge land, which is the,
We have a large parcel of land near the bridge, which runs from about, I think, 200 metres down the road, that's one parcel.
Yep.
It's been approved for a single development.
Yep. So there's 3 blocks of land that are like that. There's one, 2, and 3. I think one is Ted Trainer's land. I think that's one of them in there. One has been approved, and one apparently had an approval from the 70s or something like that. But that's zoned environmental conservation or management.
C3.
Yeah. So they're permitted 1 house.
And that can never be changed, can
Anything,
because that is Voyager. That's the point of Voyager. It's the whole.
it can be changed theoretically, right? But it's a matter of it's state legislation. So council would have to resolve to change it. It's a planning proposal. So you change the zoning, do every study in the world, send that to the Department of Planning. They have to sit there and say,
There's koalas, there's frogs,
So you're likely. The question is, what is the likelihood of changing? I'd probably say less than 1%. Right. So exactly, it's nationally. I think is it that block or nearby? It's national vegetation. It's now wetlands, nationally significant. Yeah. So very, very highly unlikely. For us, it's a question of when we get down to the bike path and the footpath, is whether we try to get a path through there along, or do we just go along, skip the edge? Yeah.
Now, with Voyager Point, it's not a city development. Now, the state government, are they going to bring in some sort of changes where if you develop they want to bring in these terraces sort of like on how is that going to have an impact? I mean, what involvement is going to go with that? Are they just going to force that on council?
So it'll depend on the local environment plan and what is permissible within the zoning as well. So some council areas, that type of development is permissible in certain zonings. In our council, that's not. So
But they can turn around and change it. I mean, the state government's got the right to have it, isn't it?
Well, LEP is the basis of it. So state government, unless it's a state significant area.
But if you're talking about that one house in front of the railway station, these things are around the corner, I mean, you know.
Yeah. So we received a letter on Halloween. It was written to me from the minister, and the minister's planning said that only 6% of R2 land. So ultimately, if you look at your general zonings, R2 is houses, R3 is townhouses and terraces, R4 is units. Right? That's simplistic terms. In his letter, he states that only 6% of R2 land in Sydney allows for manor homes and terraces, i.e. medium density. It's a very interesting letter because to us, it's showing, the way I'm perceiving it, there's an intent to do something. And we had a street workshop with the planners recently, and if you look, generally speaking, how planning works, is there's a train station or shops, and then within 400 meters, it's higher density, R4. Then it goes to, say, 800 meter, it's R3, medium density, and then the rest of it's R2. That's generally how planning is done in Sydney. So when we said, well, can you give us advice? We said, no, we already meet that criteria. We're also looking at changing that because you've seen the mess in Moorebank. We don't want that going. We don't want to see a building in Chipping Norton. We don't want to see in Kosula. We don't want to see in Cecil Hills. So we're fixing that up a little bit. So the question is, and I think what's going to happen is most councils are going to tell the minister to bugger off in a polite way, that we have done our job and leave us alone. And then he's going to turn around and say, oh, well, thank you. There's a crisis, we need to do something about it. And there was a continuous effort. You can see what they're doing once again today. We're currently the slowest council for approving. We're the worst council at the moment for approving we have the slowest approval times. So when I took over, we had 1,100 outstanding DAs. We've now brought that down pretty much in that state for a year until we were able to get it fixed. And now this year it's sitting around 430 outstanding applications with the same amount coming in. What that does to your average times, if you're assessing something that's been sitting in the system for 2 to 3 years, it throws off your assessment times. So they keep on picking on us. Having said that as well, we probably have one of the most complicated areas to deal with. You've got 100-acre farms, you've got high-rise 30-story buildings, you've got shopping centres in Milton Grange and here. No one has that stuff. People are just doing little bits and pieces, plus industrial. It's quite complex. Having said that, we will be the best. We will be much more efficient because people were calling my office all of last year saying, it's been 9 months and I'm just trying to build a house and I can't get it approved. That had 40% of our DAs are just houses. Anyway, cutting a long story short, the view that what I'm going to recommend to council is that we choose areas that are older, that have the old fibro homes, the big blocks of lands that may not fit with the criteria that Nancy and her team say, well, that's, here's pure planning, just do it within these circles. The older areas that are run down, that need to be renewed, call it, say, the 2168 area. There's a lot of beautiful land, but old houses that have done their time. Maybe places like Lurnia. We might say to them, we can do a thing where we just draw like a line around them and say, yes, it's R2, but we can allow terraces in these areas. Because if we don't give them something, they'll have something. We lose control of it. Because ultimately, yeah, if they turn around and say, allow this if they can take the view that a terrace house is no longer medium density, and then they could be turning up everywhere, right? But I think if we do that, that will provide it. But I think any council who turns around and does nothing is going to be in a problem in very soon.
Can I make another point there? There's obviously a big consciousness within the government around the importance of things like public transport and local infrastructure if you're going to have conversations around density, whether it's higher density or medium density as we're talking about at the moment. And like you mentioned previously, areas like Voyager Point aren't really well connected with public transport in particular. So East Hills might just be, in terms of distance, not that far away, but things like public transport connections, experiencing the extension of East Road because of historic issues with road infrastructure. And so, the likelihood that you're going to have that kind of conversation in Voyager Point is not very high. Where there is access to public transport, where there is better road infrastructure that can support more medium density development, that's probably where those conversations should be happening. Because the other thing, 20, 30 years ago, about 20% of the new housing that was coming online in New South Wales was medium density. That's now down to 4%. And that's where you're having this big sort of gap between massive, high-rise developments that people are really kind of struggling to sort of to get their head around, and then sort of your things like that. So we need to get better at bringing housing online that is sort of across the full spectrum of what people need, so that we can get housing for young people, housing for old people, and to meet the housing needs of New South Wales.
So, in regards to public transport, the buses don't, I don't know too much about it, but this is just feedback that I've got, and I'm going to throw it out here. The buses don't operate as often as frequently, so elderly people don't have many options to go to the shops or to go to the train station unless they walk all the way to East Hills. Can the council do something like a shuttle service for the elderly or something? I don't know. For those that don't drive, from Voyager Point to go to Holsworthy, Waterloo shops.
What is the bus network now? Where are the buses going?
I think there's like 2 services in the morning and 2 services in the
There's 3 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon. In the afternoon, they come from the railway station, go down here on their way to Sandy Point, so they don't go back.
Don't go back.
Yeah, it's not a loop.
Yeah, so you can't catch the bus going back, but you catch the bus
Only
going
one of
out.
those buses goes through.
So if the buses return to Holsworthy Station, people could get out in the afternoon, but you can't. You can only come back this way. In the morning, I think I'm not sure. I think it's just going from Sandy Point to Voyager Point, in one direction.
So like it would be good if there was like a smaller bus. It doesn't have to be a big bus. A small bus that just goes Centre Point, Pleasure Point, Voyager Point, to the station, and then it just does a frequent loops. Because from the station there's plenty of buses to catch, but like just to offer that type of service, I don't know.
Yeah.
Can I make a point? So something like what you're suggesting there was trialled when the Beeline, so the rapid bus network in the Northern Beaches came online. So they had 3 major stations that were serviced by the sort of large Beeline buses, and then they had smaller collection points that were serviced by some of the smaller buses that they're not quite buses, but they're sort of the smaller versions of it, and they would kind of pick up people to then take them to the larger bus stops. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so there is capacity for something like that to be tried in other places as well, which is why currently the state government's going through a review of the bus network, what needs to be done, where it needs to be done. So something like that could be proposed as part of that.
Or like Moorebank Sports Club, they have shuttle buses. Maybe the council can work with them and utilise their service for Voyager Point, Pleasure Point, and Sandy Point.
Yeah. From our point of view, our budget's a bit constrained to put up to run that, to do it. But I think that's a conversation we can have with the sports club, and I recommend you guys as well have that conversation with them. I know, because ultimately the sports club is a members club.
That you can propose that through to the local state member, who should be putting in their feedback and what residents are saying in terms of what the bus network around here needs as well. So,
so this is handled by the state.
Yeah. So that's a state thing that's happening at the moment. So the task force is doing work across the board, and so that's something that you can propose through that.
That's a very good suggestion. They're not asking for free service, you can have to pay for it, but there is even that option is not available.
Yeah.
Where's just out of curiosity, where do you want to go on the bus? There's obviously Holsworthy Station. Yeah.
Maybe to Holsworthy. If you can go to Holsworthy, then you have all the other connections from there.
Yeah.
But even to go to Holsworthy, elderly cannot get there. Kids can't get there. School kids.
So you got to use your car.
Yeah. Or
Yeah,
they
but
have
even
to
if you want to go to shopping centre, they can't get there. Everyone that can't get there. The Liverpool can't get there.
So you kind of have a sort of a Holsworthy, Wattle Grove shops.
Well, something.
Points.
Currently there
Currently
exist services between Holsworthy Railway Station and Liverpool via Wattle Grove shops or via Moorebank shops. So the big question for these 3 suburbs here, Voyager Point, Pleasure Point, Sandy Point, is getting access to Holsworthy Station. But if that can be connected to Holsworthy Station, there's currently services in place.
Sorry, so it goes from the points to, where did you say again? To Liverpool?
From Holsworthy Railway Station.
From Holsworthy, yeah.
There are 2 buses.
Yep.
One goes via Wattle Grove to Liverpool and back. That's the 901.
So Holsworthy Station, Wattle Grove to Liverpool?
Yes.
Yep, okay.
And the other one is 902. Goes from Holsworthy, Hammondale, Moorebank, and to Liverpool. So if these 3 suburbs
They can
get
get
a
down to
slightly better
Holsworthy.
connection, that would be nice. And being in the bus industry for 30 years,
Okay.
I know that sometimes, so in many suburbs they provide what's called a shopper special, so they run a few services during the day to link particularly older people to get them to and from shops. So the problem is always that those are not always well patronised, but they're important. And I see for these 3 suburbs here, particularly as this suburb's been in place for 25, nearly 30 years, in some parts of it. So the people are getting older, so that will become more and more important as time goes on, to provide that link. And currently, this is probably a state issue, not a council issue. We have buses going in one direction in a morning, one direction in the afternoon, where it wouldn't be all that much more difficult to provide a link going back the other way to Holsworthy Station before they go back to the depot.
Isn't it petition?
There's no certainty of the date, right?
No.
I'm sure. Gonna run.
She is, isn't she?
No. What I'm about to tell you.
Yeah.
The kids get buses from Holsworthy that go right past Voyager Point to go to the schools in the Shire.
So say that again, say it slowly. They go from.
The kids from here.
Yep.
To get a bus to the schools in the Shire, they have to backtrack to Holsworthy.
Yep.
Then get a bus from there that goes past Heathcote Road, like goes past here, to go to the schools in the Shire, like Aquinas and all those sorts of schools, right? So what I was going to suggest, and it's not going to cost anything, if the bus that goes from Holsworthy to the Shire schools comes into Voyager Point, goes around the roundabout in the avenue, they could collect kids from here and possibly Pleasure Point and Sandy Point to save the parents having to congest Heathcote Road more by taking them to Holsworthy to then go backtrack past here.
Okay.
It seems a no-brainer, but, and I know Tina's looking at it, there's a petition going on at the moment about it, she's been organising, which I think is great.
Yep.
But do you see what I mean? Like, it's like
Yeah,
the kids are going back to Holsworthy, they're congesting Heathcote Road to get there, and then they've got to come back.
You always wonder why Holsworthy stations required so much parking, and it's like, well, when people living nearby don't really have any good public transport connections, they've got no choice but to go and park there. So yeah, good point. No, there is. There's three buses.
But the thing is, we can. But certainly while this bus conversation is going on and that petition is live, there's no reason why we can't advocate to have those other services considered at the same time and that representation made as well. I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
So midday we don't have any transport for only for people who are working, they get maybe covered transport, and then during the day, people who are retired or off-peak travel, they don't have any transportation.
The points are probably some of the most disconnected suburbs in Sydney. You know, think about it. There's no footpaths outside, but the new road, Heathcote Road, will have, my understanding, bikeway along the length of it, which will be, at least gives you some connection to get out. Yeah, the rest of them don't. So it's concern.
Sorry, this is going to be my last question, I promise. So you guys are talking about doing a bikeway footpath along the riverside. Is there any plans to, it's going to sound crazy, but it would be nice if Voyager Point residents, including like the other points, would have a designated jetty so that we can utilise the water.
Park your boats and stuff.
Yeah. Like at the moment, if I want to take the boat out, I have to go down to Sandy Point, and there's no parking. You've got to drive the trailer all the way up. It's very difficult. Or I have to drive all the way down to Moorebank and.
It's a good point.
Whereas we're just here.
What's everyone think about that? So I think something like that is a very important discussion to have. In that, we should be ambitious, right? The Georges River is probably the most underutilized public river, I would say, because ultimately, if you want to go and enjoy it, you've got to go and get a boat and do everything you just described, and that's not. It should be. It should be very accessible, and it's something that we're very keen on doing, very enthusiastic on doing. When you had the marina that's been held up now for 10 plus years, it's pretty frustrating. Right? The marina is a great opportunity to start that. But then the marina should be about, well, where else do you go on boat? I've always said that East Hills should have a little jetty there. So if you have a boat from Pleasure Point, you can go out there and get to the station there. You know, why shouldn't you? Why can't you go
from here to Liverpool station on a by boat, you know, and have marinas on the way. Chippenham Lake should have the same sort of thing. You know, you've got an amazing amount of stuff that's along the water. So don't get me started on this one.
And why don't you have a ferry? That's public transport, and that would be really good.
If I can just take everyone on a bit of what we've been doing lately. So when we started, we were told, we walked into council in January after everyone got COVID. If you remember, just go back a little bit, everyone got COVID and just went, that's when it spread. And we were told we had $11 million budget deficit. And on top of that, we were told that if we don't fix it in 18 months, council will go into administration. So that was our... We'll open up. Which is like, what did we do? Why are we here? So it's like, so that's the challenge that we faced. Our role as council, we're like a board of directors. We only hire or fire the CEO. That's it. We don't appoint all the staff here. We don't appoint them. They don't work for us. They work for the CEO. I'm like the chairman, and everyone here is like a director. So we moved on to the CEO left. We have an acting CEO. We also had the challenge because not only did we have 3 floods in that first 6 months of council, put that aside. Liverpool is growing. You've got at least 1,000 new houses in Edmondside Park and Austral that grows. More parks, more open space to take care of. We weren't putting on any more people in Matt's team. So we also had the backlog of DAs that I mentioned, 1,100 DAs. So we weren't investing there. So in the first budget, we created a pathway to get to a balanced budget in 3 years. Because without money, nothing's going to happen, like our households. So we put a plan in 3 years, we'll get to a balanced budget. At the same time, not cutting services, but improving services. So we were able to, we gave Matt an extra, I think we're up to 18 people now.
Last budget, we got more scheduled for next year.
Yeah, so we'll keep on growing that. As an automatically, we'll make sure he gets more people. If not, you get these backlogs. We put on a whole bunch of new planners as well. And we're focusing, that's where you get back to basics. We have to get that right before anything else. Thankfully, that's progressing well. We appointed a new CEO in December last year. Pretty much all the directors were no longer were there, I'll use that term. And he's got a whole new brand new team of directors that all officially started in June this year. And what we do is we also establish organizational structure of council. What is it that we want to focus on? And the way ultimately it works is we as a community, because ultimately we are you guys, have a vision. We then put that vision into a document. We appoint the CEO to deliver that vision according to the budget that we give them. And then they run the operational stuff day to day. So our new team, one of the changes that we did, we appointed a new director of customer service, which is Michelle. So ultimately, we think what's council supposed to do? It's supposed to be seamless. You know, you shouldn't have to talk to us. If we're proactive, doing things properly, you know, you report something, you get a phone call, hey, it's all done. Yeah, thank you. Like that, you said that 1%. That's what adds up. That's what makes it a good experience, you know. And there's multiple things that it's got to be driven like that. Culture. There's 900 plus employees at council. And then we also have a city futures directorate who are looking. How do we use our assets better? Because our wage bill is $90 million. So when rates go up, rates pretty much just cover the increase in wages that goes up. That's pretty much almost like the whole money. But if we can use our property assets to generate better income and so on and so forth, will be good. We do, so thankfully now the budget is on track. Our first budget was we projected $8 million deficit, but we delivered a balanced budget. So there's still issues. We're still, like I said, on the trajectory for 3 years to have a good balanced budget. So that's a positive. The biggest headwind that we have at the moment is the new council building. So council in the last term decided to borrow $200 million to build a new building, or $177 million, and now a little bit more. So we don't have any tenants for that building, but hopefully we will be able to sign some people up. So that's the thing that keeps me up at night has always been that building, because we need to service that debt, and it's for a building, which, yeah, regardless whether you need it or not, it's all done. Why I say that, to your point about the river, is we couldn't have this meeting last year. Right? The organization wasn't ready. We're not ready for extra workload. We had to catch up, right? The storm, the 3 floods, we missed it. It was terrible. But this year we spent a record $10 million plus on roads. So made life.
Plus whatever it is you got from the flood, which is another.
Yeah. Well, we had one road, the one that takes to the Casula powerhouse, got damaged in a flooding. Thankfully, John and his team were just able to secure $7.8 million just to fix that one little bit of road because it eroded underneath it. That's why if you go to the Casula powerhouse, you see it blocked off. That's one little bit. Our annual budget is $250 million. You know what I mean? So something like that will just chew up a lot of money. But anyway, we're at the position now that we've caught up, and our goal now as councillors, the mayor, is now to drive, is to now to get ambitious where we take the community. So getting the river activated is vital. The thing is this, we actually have a lot of developer contribution money that's sitting there, right, that hasn't been utilised. So people have paid, when a developer develops something, I'll use an example, Cecil Hills. Cecil Hills is very similar to here, developed at the same time. It's pretty much fully developed. There's $4 million sitting there for a community centre. It's sitting there. And it's like, why hasn't this been enacted? Why haven't you spent this? The money should not, the money can only be used for that purpose. So we're now going through that process saying, let's get that money out there and let's start doing that. So we will do that. We will lift the standards of what our community expects or what you want from us. But we need you to be vocal about that. We need you to say, hey, we deserve better. No, not just because we're living in Southwest Sydney, we don't get good stuff. We should have it. The Georges River is gorgeous. It's amazing. And there's no reason why we cannot, we're not a river city when if you want to get to East Hill Station, you go down there, or you go down to the marina and you can go do your shopping and go up and down and not own a boat. Make it accessible for those, for a kid who can go from Miller, or for example, wants to go up there and hop on a kayak and go and enjoy it. They can do that. So that's our vision. Even ideally, the whole river needs a vision. You should be able to go to Brighton the Sands, down to that over there, and park your boat and enjoy the day out. So, yeah, ideally, if we hear from you, if you guys want to turn around and say, let's get jetties down there so we can park our boats, we can start having those conversations, right? Because I think they'll be good things. So, push us now. Now we're ready to be pushed.
How do we put that forward though?
Here. So ideally now, what we're going to be doing with these meetings, we'll try to have them twice a year, because we used to have big meetings. So we broke up in Liverpool to 4, and attendance wasn't really that big because you want to know about here. You don't want to necessarily care about what happens in Casula. It doesn't really affect you, right? So now we're saying, let's have these meetings. There's around 12 areas, and we'll have them twice a year. That's like, you know, we're pretty much having a meeting every fortnight constantly. So from this, we'll take all these issues, and we'll report back to you at the next meeting how we're progressing, what we're doing with them, and build that up into next year's budget. All right, so we can investigate what we need to do to put something down there. Yeah, and go for it. We'll make council move. It's complicated, but we'll make it move. It's a lot of red tape and bureaucracy, but we know how to work with it.
How many boat ramps do you have in Liverpool just for the river along there? Besides Sandy Point? Besides Sandy Point?
Sandy Point is, we don't have that one. So what do we have? We have, Pleasure Point doesn't have one, doesn't have one.
That's what I'm saying, can we get another car park in there?
Pleasure Point doesn't have one.
Should be North.
Voyager Point doesn't have one. Flower Power.
Sandy Point, Moorebank, and Liverpool.
So we've only got 2. Yeah, but the one in Sandy Point, I have to be very clear, it's like very small, it's only, if one person parks his car and trailer, then good luck for you, you're going to have to drive all the way up the road to park your one. It's more for residents. So, and all the residents there, fortunately, they have
Even the one at the Flower Power. But I'm saying, we get one at Pleasure Point's not a good spot, right? We get car parking, where everyone just, let's stop at 6 o'clock at night. In that section is perfect. If you could note that down with the record.
Right.
There's nowhere else. We can't.
Yeah. But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, we're not talking about boat ramps as such, more saying about actual jetties and having your boat moored there and stuff.
okay, so jetties is like, you can reverse your trailer into the water.
Boat ramp, that's a boat ramp, yeah.
Okay, boat ramp.
Yeah.
In conjunction with the boat ramp, we would have a wall so that you can park your boat.
So yeah, Pleasure Point's perfect.
That should be more of an investment for council.
Just being sorry, everyone. Can we just get we have a few more minutes left? Do you want to? Sorry, ma'am.
You probably already answered the question, but so is the marina now going ahead, or what's the situation?
So the marina. Oh, there you go. Sorry. So the marina is coming back to council in December. They're proposing to make it financially viable is to put some units at the marina. We're talking about, I think, a couple hundred, 4 to 6 story buildings, something like that, right? With some shops downstairs. So it has to go to the Department of Planning for them to approve it, right? But yeah.
About 10 years.
They're very keen to do it. If you go for a drive now, that section is opened up. I recommend go and have a drive and you'll see what they've done. They're going to sell their first waterfront terraces. I think it's 18 of them very soon. But you see the marina formed up and such.
Just like to say thank you.
Sorry, excuse me, everyone.
Just to yourself and your fellow councillors for being here tonight, and also to your dedicated staff. It's nearly 8 o'clock on a Monday night, so thank you. You come out to these places, you're on a bit of a hiding, so I think it's a good active group that's turned up. I think there's some good constructive ideas. I'm just sorry, the 1,678 people who reside in Voyager Point is just a tick over 1% that have bothered to turn up. But the old political saying is decisions are made by those that show up. So I'd like to think that there's a good core group of people that have got the interest of the suburb at heart, and you know this has been constructive. You and your team, we reconvene in 6 months and get some updates and you know where things are progressing on some of these matters that have been raised. So thank you.
We thank you. We need you to talk to us and tell us what you want to do.
Yeah. And look, we're doing, I'll just give you a couple of advertisements. New Year's Eve this year is going to be at Warwick Farm Racecourse. So we're not doing the fireworks all over the area now, because everyone asked where are the fireworks, and we couldn't tell you because they're not set up to be. Those locations that were done in the last few years were done because of COVID, so you sit at home and watch them. So this time we'll be at Warwick Farm Racecourse, maybe little pony rides, but it should be a really good family day. We're running our new family fun days, which is the first Saturday of every month, about bringing community together, give the kids an opportunity to get out of the house and off the devices. And if anyone's got kids, say you're having a birthday party for them, you can just add it onto that. And there are little activations that we do once a month around Liverpool. I think we're up to number 4 or 5. And we're doing, we have our Experience the World events, which is in the mall where sort of we go from continent to continent or sort of culture to culture and have events. On the weekend, they run for 3 nights. Last weekend, we just had our South Pacifica one. We had 61,000 people attend Liverpool Macquarie Street Mall in over 3 nights. So they're very successful. Our Christmas one, we're doing a Christmas market there for 3 nights as well. 8th to the 10th? Did we change it? Oh no, it is 8th to the 10th, yes. So 8th to the 10th of December, we're going to be doing a Christmas one as well, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. I recommend coming down. Great food, great atmosphere, people enjoying it. And then, next year we're going to have our whole series. And that's about once a week, building community spirit, getting community together, and something to do. Our view is, I went to a panel the other day, and it's like, oh, what sort of infrastructure do we need in your area? I said, the question is, before we answer that question, we have to ask, what do we want for our areas? Is this area just somewhere where you sleep and leave to go to work? Or do you actually have a city here where you can actually work and do like Parramatta? Because then you focus on getting there versus just trying to get out. So our view is it should be more than sleeping here. So anyway, please come along that. Our new library is opening up on the 3rd of December. So if you go to Liverpool City Centre and see this white looking circular thing that looks like a Connect 4 board or a cheese grater, there's parking in the building underneath.
When is the council parking open, do we know?
Should open the library. Opens up.
Same day?
Yeah.
I'll see you there.
But how much are they going to charge for parking?
Sorry?
How much are they going to charge for parking?
Don't know.
Get the
Do
bus.
we know what
How
the
much
cost
they charge
of
for the
parking
parking?
I imagine it'll be very similar to the Warren service, like the other CBD parking one, yeah, so the CBD library is closed at the moment, because they're moving the books over as we speak, so third of, that'll be open up, 3rd of December, and anything else that's really exciting?
It's great on the weekend,
Huh?
there's no cost now, it's like free
Oh, yes.
Friday night.
And we're doing an extra yellow bin pickup at Christmas time, so for all your lovely birds and boxes, wrapping paper. So we'll do that and advertise that as well, so I know a lot of people wanted that, so. Oh, and we've got if anyone has a look, we're the first council to get a mattress shredding machine. So waste is a very big cost to council and to us, to everyone. So now we shred them, so we'll do the pickup mattresses as per normal. If anybody has any mattresses, we get rid of 20,000 mattresses a year. So it's a fair bit. So this machine basically shreds them up, separates the metal, separates the fluff, and the fluff turns into pavers, tiles, bench tops. We bought a new building for a recycling centre, a circular economy centre on 600 Cowpasture Road, the old Metrolink, you know, the old Metrolink depot on 600 Cowpasture Road. So we bought that building, fully mechanical workshop. That's going to help us get more efficiencies from Matt's team. You know what I mean? To give you a little thing, when all the grass was growing very badly after the flood, it's like, I went to Matt saying, what's going on? And he goes, because the grass is normally in a basin, the ground is very wet and it takes a bit longer to dry. And the grass grows longer. So you have to let it grow longer. When you got to cut it, you have to go over a couple of times. It will then mess up the belts, mess up all the machinery. Then we have to go take the mechanical workshop, which is basically building from the 50s or 60s. That's just wrong in every shape, size, and form. And so, plus that supply chain. So ultimately, the mechanical workshop is the heart of the operation with 300 vehicles. So now we have a brand new set of the other mechanical workshop, which we're in today, is it? Yeah, we're in there today. So it's a little thing you won't see, but it's about investing for the future to make sure that this organisation runs better and more efficient. So if we get that going right, we get the customer service stuff going right, we're getting a very cool app which will make it very easy to use. And what we're trying to do, I'll leave it on this point, from these meetings we basically want to have a one-pager for the community. Council loves master plans, there's rooms full of master plans. They have what they call a community strategic plan, which is a book this thick that tells you what we're supposed to be doing. We want to break everything to your area into one page. That becomes our to-do list, which you own as a community and we own as a council, and we work on it and we fix it. And it just brings everything to that one point so we all know what we're doing. So as this develops and as these meetings go along, we're getting better at understanding and we just want to make things simple and easy. And that's what it's about. But anyway, if that's, anyone else have anything they want to say? Is that 1 minute over? 1 minute over? 1 minute. Everyone, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Have a Merry Christmas. Hopefully come to New Year's, come to the library. Look forward to seeing you guys. And if anyone has any issues, please bring it to customer service directly and they'll take it down. Thank you.